in electricity tariff and arbitrary billing of unmetered customers by distribution companies in Nigeria. Our Senate should note with the greatest dismay the plan to increase electricity tariff by the relevant statutory authority in gross disregard of increased economic challenges with attendant widespread poverty and high cost of living. The Senate might note that the Honorable Minister of Power was reported saying the nation must begin to move towards a cost-effective tariff model, as the country is currently indebted to the tune of 1.3 trillion naira to generating companies and $1.3 billion owed gas companies, according to him. Over 2 trillion needed for subsidy. Only 415 billion was budgeted for in 2024. The Senate might further note that the same electricity businesses are collecting money from customers for services not rendered, when they have not added anything to the equipment they inherited from PHCN. Communities buy transformers to replace damaged ones, in addition to overburdened bills and arbitrary estimates for metered customers. Cognizance, in a country where a greater number of population live below poverty level, with stagnant wages, rising inflation, and depreciating currency, the prospect of high electricity bill is unattainable. Note that issue of arbitrary energy charges on unmetered customers has become worrisome, given the February 2024 report of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, on the non-compliance with energy billing caps by discourse, and the penalty of 10.5 billion naira imposed on the distribution companies that overbill its unmetered customers. Aware, in 2018, the then Minister of Power, Works and Housing directed Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to issue a regulation that facilitates signing of meter agreement between the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, Ziegler's Company, and other meter asset providers to address the metering gaps in the power supply industry. Further aware that as far back as 2020, the President then ordered the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to commence mass prepaid metering to end the estimated billing, and that funds were released to that effect. The stop that the multiple sanctions declared to be imposed by the NERC against discourse for failing to comply with the scrapping of estimated billing for unmetered customers, which include credit adjustments to overall bill on unmetered customers for the period of January-September 2023 by March 2024 billing cycle, publication of list of credit adjustment beneficiaries in 2 national dailies, and deduction of 10.5 billion naira from the annual allowed revenue of 11 discourse during the next tariff review seem to have been in futility, given the continued violation by discourse. Recall that this Senate, via a motion, called on the federal government and NERC not to increase tariff on electricity for the customers and citizens of this country at this time. Regret that in addition to the high cost of living being experienced in the country, the unmetered customers who are owners of small and medium enterprises are adversely impacted by this level of exorbitant electricity charges, and by implication have their businesses affected, while the prospect of the new Electricity Act 2023 of ensuring accurate electricity charges will be negated if discourse are not investigated to ascertain the current statistical data on the unmetered customers, poor provision of electricity services despite exorbitant tariff, and regulatory role of the NERC, which leave much to be desired. Resolve to urge the Senate to 1. call on federal government to stand down the idea of increase in electricity tariff by withdrawing subsidy. Mandate Committee on Power to investigate the over 2 trillion subsidy requirement as stated by the Minister of Power to avoid the repeat of fuel subsidy scenario, and the statement made by the Honourable Minister with regard to 1.3 trillion naira of the Ministry-owned oil generating companies and $1.3 billion owed to gas companies. B. Investigate the role of Ministry of Power, NERC, and Ziegler's company on their roles in the failed agreement to provide prepaid meters and ensure Nigeria is not to change. C. Engage Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to come up with a lasting solution to energy billing system in the country and other related issues therein. Find out the truth of the matter with regard to the issue of federal government directive and release of funds for mass prepaid metering, and report findings to the Senate. To enforce and ensure judicious utilization of the 10.5 billion naira penalty imposed on discourse. Investigate the operations of discourse to ascertain the current status of metering and the extent of compliance with relevant legal and regulatory framework in the service delivery. 3. Also direct NERC to furnish the committee with any relevant document on metering of electricity customers, post-privatization requirement, post-privatization requirements for the operation of discourse, and evidence of regulatory action taken to ensure statutory compliance by discourse. 4. Direct NERC to ensure the implementation of energy caps by the discourse to unmetered customers in the country. 5. Direct the committee to submit a comprehensive report for further legislative action within 3 weeks. I so move, Mr. President.
Cost of living now and the hunger in the system is the energy cost associated with the removal of subsidy and the merger of the two exchange rates. We cannot afford at this point in time to add yet another factor that has the potential to worsen the current economic situation, particularly when the discos have not been provided infrastructure. And I will give you an example. The telecommunication organizations, if they want to extend services to your area, they do not ask you to come and build for them base stations. They build the base stations. And when they build the base stations, because they know those base stations are required to provide their services, they bill you according to the usage of their telcos. But in case of discos, senators, reps, politicians are burdened with the responsibility of providing transformers, the infrastructure that is required by a disco to do their business. And yet they go on to do what they call estimated billing. If at this point in time now, we do anything, just anything again, to worsen the current situation, the current challenges that Nigerians are facing, it will be totally immoral, and it will be insensitive. So, Mr. President, this is not the time to talk about removal of any subsidy in the electricity tariff system. Indeed, what we need to focus on now is how to improve the power generation and the power distribution mechanism in the country. I read in the papers yesterday or so that the national grid, our output now is about 3.5 megawatt. If we object that we are here now, we're expressing blackout. You cannot be dishing out blackout and at the same time be asking people to pay more. I therefore support this motion, ably represented by distinguished Senator Iyabas. I so support, Mr. President.
And effectively, adequately distribute electricity. Most of the problems that we're having today, especially in the manufacturing sector of the economy, is as a result of low power. And many organizations and companies are relocating from Nigeria simply because they don't have energy to drive their organizations. And so, Mr. President, I support this motion, and I want to say that this Senate should resolve again, like the Senate did in the 9th Senate, that the desire to raise electricity tariff should be put on hold until the distribution of electricity is adequate and proper. Mr. President, let me also say that this issue of subsidy removal has become a very serious matter, and we must be very careful how we handle it. I so present, Mr. President.
Yes, distinguished Senator Abba, because we shouldn't just take words from social media. Is there really subsidy in electricity tariff in the country? That has been, that was one area I was worried about. So distinguished Senator Tamboa.
I represent the people of Rivers Southeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, I stand to support the motion ably raised by my distinguished brother. Mr. President, in supporting this motion, I want to say the side effect of increase in tariff as a result of unmetered electricity within the consumable areas of electricity users outweighed the importance. Firstly, Mr. President, if there is an increase, it's going to increase financial burden on the consumers. Mr. President, it also has to do with a kind of what we call discontent and a kind of revolt that the consumers may decide to revolt and may lead to an unrest in the society. It also will cause a kind of decrease in the consumption of electricity, knowing fully well that the price, as a matter of fact, is being hiked based on meter because it's estimated. Mr. President, it can also lead to an increase in theft of electricity within our society. And if it is as a result of unmetered consumption, people can find a source of how to connect this power to themselves. Mr. President, finally, is going to have what we call a negative impact on the economy. How? It's going to be retrogressive because a lot of people may not work directly with what it used to be on power. Mr. President, I wholeheartedly support this motion that the increase in power as a result of metered situations should not be put in place. However, they are still contemplating. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished Senator.
Thank the movers of this motion. And in supporting this motion, I also want to reaffirm our minds that all over the world, government gives subsidy. We should play less in thinking that our federal government, state government cannot give subsidy, whether in electricity, in anything. Subsidy is usually given. All the world countries are telling us they don't give subsidy. There are subsidies abroad, in UK, in US, in America for food. There are subsidies for electricity. They cannot ask us that we will not give subsidy. So I supporting this motion probably that we should rethink and increasing our tariffs. It's not the right thing to do if they propose to increase tariffs without electricity. The electricity companies are not even giving us light at this time. Why should people be paying for what they did not use? They give people estimated bills. That is where we should focus, and focus on generation and transmission, not increasing the tariffs. People should have what they are paying for, Mr. President. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
That the idea of increasing this electricity tariff at this point in time is a height of its sensitivity in view of what Nigerians are passing through.
They have not increased electricity tariff.
I said they are there, Your Excellency.
No, he's saying that he's bringing a motion that he had that the increase in tariff is being contemplated. So it's not even the person that brought the motion is not talking about height of insensitivity.
Thank you.
And you are the one adding that for him.
Thank you, Excellency.
So please withdraw your statement.
Thank you.
No, use your mic.
Pardon, Your Excellency. That aspect is withdrawn. But the point I'm trying to draw home is that in view of what Nigerians are passing through economically today, we should not be talking of increasing electricity tariff. And I want to use this medium to call on the power holding companies across the nation to keep to their promises of giving Nigerians prepaid meters. They should stop this idea of estimated bills. They are doing this to Nigerians, and I see it as an intimidation because of the monopoly they enjoy, in ignorance of the fact that Nigerians don't have alternative to power supply. I therefore call on my colleagues to back this all-important and people-oriented motion for the interests of Nigerians. Thank you, sir.
And I can see that there is a preponderance of support for the motion. It doesn't seem as if there's any senator who is opposed to the motion. So in view of the things we have today, can we go straight to the prayers? Prayer 1. Call on the federal government of Nigeria to stand down the idea of increase in electricity tariff by withdrawing subsidy. Is there? Yes, it seems Senator Plank. Amendment, yes. The Civil Senator Yaradua. Prayer 1 is amended by motion proposed by the Civil Senator Plank and seconded by the Civil Senator Yaradua. Those who are in support of the amended prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So prayer 1 now reads, call on the federal government of Nigeria to stand down increase in electricity, the idea of increase in electricity tariff, full stop. Those in support of this prayer as amended once again say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, mandate the Committee on Power. The chairman did not make any contribution. To investigate the over 2 trillion naira subsidy requirements as stated by the Minister of Power to avoid the repeat of fuel subsidy scenario, and the statement made by the Honourable Minister with regards to the 1.3 trillion naira the ministry is said to have been owing generating companies and $1.3 billion said to be owed to gas companies. Honorable Chairman of Power, the Civil Senator Baribe, this is saying that they had the Minister of Power talking about subsidy and requiring 2 trillion. And then, of course, also making statements and allusions to the fact that it requires 1.3 trillion naira to pay generating gencos, and also $1.3 billion to pay gas companies. And the request of the mover of the motion is that the Committee on Power should immediately swing into action and investigate these allusions by the Minister of Power. Those in support of this prayer 2, sub A, that the Power Committee of the Senate should immediately investigate this and report back to the Senate, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 2 weeks. Prayer 2 sub B, investigate the role of Ministry of Power, DEC, Ziglax Company on their roles in the failed agreement to provide prepaid meters and ensure Nigeria is not shortchanged. But we just changed that to say that Nigerians are not shortchanged. Those in favor of sub B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk. Prayer 1 is amended by motion proposed by distinguished Senator Plang and seconded by distinguished Senator Yaradua. Those who are in support of the amended prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So prayer 1 now reads, call on the federal government of Nigeria to stand down the increase in electricity, the idea of increase in electricity tariff, full stop. Those in support of this prayer as amended once again say aye. Aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, mandate the Committee on Power. The chairman did not make any contribution. To investigate the over 2 trillion naira subsidy requirements as stated by the Minister of Power to avoid the repeat of fuel subsidy scenario, and the statement made by the Honourable Minister with regards to the 1.3 trillion naira the ministry is said to have been owing generating companies and $1.3 billion said to be owed to gas companies. Honourable Chairman of Power, this is Senator Baribe. This is saying that they had the Minister of Power talking about subsidy and requiring 2 trillion. And then, of course, also making statements and allusions to the fact that it requires 1.3 trillion naira to pay generating gencos, and also $1.3 billion to pay gas companies. And the request of the mover of the motion is that the Committee on Power should immediately swing into action and investigate these allusions by the Minister of Power. Those in support of this prayer 2, sub A, that the Power Committee of the Senate should immediately investigate this and report back to the Senate, say aye. Aye. Those again say nay. The ayes have it. 2 weeks. Prayer 2, sub B. Investigate the role of Ministry of Power, DEC, Ziglax Company on their roles in the failed agreement to provide prepaid meters and ensure Nigeria is not shortchanged. But we just changed that to say that Nigerians are not shortchanged. Those in favor of sub B say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to come up with lasting solution to the energy bill. C. Engage the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to come up with lasting solution to the energy billing system in the country and other related issues therein. Those in support of 2C say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. D. Find out the truth of the matter with regards to the issue of federal government directive and release of funds for mass prepaid metering and report findings to the Senate. Is there anybody that wishes to refresh to rephrase this. Otherwise, those in support of prayer D say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer E, to enforce and ensure the judicious utilization of the 10.5 billion naira penalty imposed on the discourse. Those in favor of prayer E say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer F, investigate the operations of discourse to ascertain the current status of metering and their extent of compliance with relevant legal and regulatory frameworks in service delivery. Those in favor of prayer F say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, direct the NEC to furnish the committee with relevant documents of metering of electricity consumers, post-privatization requirements for the operation of discos, and evidence of regulatory actions taken to ensure statutory compliance by discos. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, direct the NEC to ensure the implementation of energy caps by all discos to unmetered customers in the country. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Direct the committee to submit a comprehensive report for further legislative action within 3 weeks. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Let me thank the Senior Senator Aminu Abbas for bringing this to the fore, and most importantly thank our distinguished colleagues for their contributions and opposition to the idea of increasing electricity tariff at this time due to the current cost of things across the country and the sufferings of people. And Nigerians are very worried about the following increases in products across the country, and urge the Committee on Power to work closely with the Minister of Power to ensure that the resolutions of the Senate are respected in order to ameliorate and reduce any contemplated suffering on consumers of electricity in the country. So I thank you all for your contributions and for resolutions. We should also even have added that the legislative committee, the Committee on Legislative Compliance, should also ensure that these resolutions are complied with.